March 19, 1997. A helicopter is cutting across the jungle of Borneo, 800 feet above the canopy. In the back seat rides Michael de Guzman, chief geologist of a company called Bre-X Minerals, the man credited with the largest gold discovery in human history, 70 million ounces, more than $20 billion worth of gold, sleeping under the rainforest. This morning, he is flying back to the site to answer some very difficult questions about it. He never arrives. Somewhere over the jungle, the helicopter's door comes open, and de Guzman falls. 4 days later, searchers find his body. And 1 week after that, the world learns why this flight ended the way it did. The largest gold discovery in history contained almost no gold at all. This is the story of how a bankrupt promoter, working out of his basement in Calgary, built a $6 billion illusion, and how the smartest money in the world lined up for 4 straight years to believe it. To understand Bre-X, you have to start in that basement. David Walsh was a stock promoter with a long list of ventures that had gone nowhere. By the early 90s, he was personally bankrupt, maxed out credit cards, creditors calling, and one asset left, a dormant shell company named Bre-X Minerals, trading for pennies on the Alberta Exchange. In 1993, Walsh made the kind of phone call that desperate men make. He reached out to John Felderhof, a Dutch-born geologist he'd met a decade earlier, a man with a reputation for chasing deposits nobody else believed in. Felderhof had a pitch ready, a patch of jungle in central Kalimantan, Indonesia, called Busang. Previous owners had drilled it and walked away. Felderhof was convinced they'd quit too early. Walsh scraped together roughly $80,000, money he barely had, and bought the rights to Busang. Felderhof brought in his protege to run the site, Michael de Guzman, a brilliant, ambitious Filipino geologist. 3 men, 1 worthless hill in the jungle. That's the entire company. Drilling began in 1994, and the results came back promising. Then remarkable, then impossible. Every hole hit gold. Not one dry hole, ever. By 1995, the estimate was around 3 million ounces. A year later, an engineering firm certified resource calculations that climbed to 60 million. By early 1997, the official number was 70 million ounces. And Felderhof was telling people the real figure might reach 200 million. That would make Busang the richest gold deposit ever found, anywhere, by anyone. And the market did what markets do when a number only goes up. Bre-X stock went from 30 Canadian cents to a split-adjusted peak of $286.50. The penny stock from a Calgary basement was suddenly worth more than $6 billion. It graduated to the Toronto Stock Exchange, then NASDAQ, then into the TSE 300 index, which meant index funds now bought it automatically, no questions asked. The questions weren't being asked anywhere else either. Analysts across Bay Street rated it a buy. The Ontario Teachers' Pension Plan put in $100 million. Quebec's Public Pension Fund, $70 million. 40,000 ordinary investors, secretaries, farmers, retirees, bet their savings on Busang. The mining industry's own newspaper crowned Walsh and Felderhof its Mining Men of the Year. Everyone was checking the stock price. Nobody was checking the gold. So how do you fake a gold mine? Here's the uncomfortable answer. You don't fake the rock. You fake the test. When you drill a core sample, that cylinder of rock travels to a lab where it's analyzed for gold content. Bre-X's samples made a 12-hour journey downriver with a stop at a company warehouse in the town of Samarinda. And in that warehouse, before the samples ever reached the laboratory, Someone was opening the bags of crushed rock and adding gold. It's called salting, and Busang was salted for years, systematically, on a scale no one had ever attempted. The gold came from local rivers, panned by villagers, and bought quietly for cash. And that detail matters, because river gold is a fingerprint. Under a microscope, it's rounded and worn, alloyed with silver. It looks nothing like gold born inside volcanic rock. The evidence of the fraud was sitting in every single sample, visible to anyone who thought to look. For almost 4 years, nobody looked. It helped that Bre-X broke the industry's oldest safety rule. Standard practice is to saw each core in half. Test one half, archive the other, so outsiders can verify. Bre-X crushed everything. No archive, no second opinion possible. They called it a metallurgical necessity. It was the perfect crime, hiding inside a technicality. By 1996, a deposit that size had attracted a predator bigger than any bank, the government of Indonesia. The Suharto regime decided a foreign junior company would not keep the find of the century, and the president's own children picked teams. Bre-X hired Suharto's son Sigit for a reported $1 million a month in consulting fees. A rival mining giant, Barrick, allied with Suharto's daughter. For months, Jakarta squeezed, and Bre-X nearly lost everything. In February 1997, a settlement was forced through. The American mining giant, Freeport-McMoRan, would become the operator with 15%. Indonesian interests took 40%, and Bre-X kept 45% of Busang. The market celebrated. 45% of infinity is still infinity. But buried in the deal was a formality that would end the whole story. Freeport, before committing its money, would drill its own confirmation holes, a few meters from Bre-X's best results. The first outside drills to ever touch Busang. In January 1997, with auditors and partners circling, a fire tore through the building at Busang where sample records were kept. The timing was, let's say, noted. Then in March, Freeport's assays came back from its twin holes. Traces, dust, nothing remotely economic, meters away from holes that had supposedly proven the deposit of the millennium. Freeport asked Bre-X's chief geologist to fly in and explain. Michael de Guzman boarded that helicopter on March 19, 1997. Handwritten notes found in the cabin described a man saying goodbye. Officially, it was ruled a suicide, though the questions around that flight have never fully closed, and we'll come back to them. On March 26th, Freeport made it public. Insignificant amounts of gold. Trading froze. When Bre-X reopened the next day, it lost more than 80% of its value in a single session. Billions of dollars gone between breakfast and the closing bell. In May, an independent audit by Strathcona Mineral Services delivered the autopsy. The samples had been tampered with on a scale, in their words, without precedent in the history of mining. The official resource estimate for Busang, the 70 million ounce miracle, was revised to approximately zero. 6 billion Canadian dollars evaporated. Teachers' pensions, retirement funds, 40,000 ordinary portfolios. And here is the part that still stings. Nobody went to prison. Not one person. David Walsh insisted to the end that he was a victim too. He moved to the Bahamas and died there of a brain aneurysm in 1998, a year after the collapse. John Felderhof, who had sold roughly $80 million of stock near the peak, became the only person ever charged for insider trading. His trial dragged on for 7 years, acquitted on every count. He died in the Philippines in 2019. And de Guzman? The official story says the fraud's architect jumped rather than face exposure. But he left behind 4 wives who were told 4 different stories, a body that took days to find in the jungle. And, according to one of his widows, money transfers that arrived years after his death. People who worked with him swear he's been seen alive. The case was closed. The questions weren't. Canada rebuilt its mining laws because of Busan. Today, every public claim about a mineral deposit must be signed by an independent qualified person. A rule written in Bre-X's ashes, specifically so this exact story can never repeat. But the real lesson isn't about mining. The gold was never in the ground. It was in the story. Analysts, bankers, index funds, pension managers, even a dictator's family. Verification was one drill hole away the entire time. And for 4 years, nobody paid for that hole because everyone was getting rich by not paying for it. When a number makes everybody money simply by being believed, don't expect anybody to check it. That's not a mining story. That's a market story. And it hasn't stopped happening. Next case file, a 28-year-old trader in Singapore who single-handedly vaporized a 233-year-old British bank.